Hello. So you guys, yeah, we'll share them around. So yeah, yes, the bartender wants to know what he can provide for you guys. So if you want some
I'm good right
coffee,
now, but
yeah,
maybe some water would be okay.
yeah. So yeah, so here's the deal. We're live on air, and it's funny because the mic gives you no feedback, but they can hear us. So we get Neo and I got chastised earlier because we're loud people. We just got to be mindful of those presentations. Yeah, we have passion. So you just came down off stage. How was it? How's giving your HiveFest presentation? How did it
I
feel?
think it went good.
Yeah?
It was well.
Well, so you guys, I was just saying to Chris, like you guys are everywhere. You guys give tons of presentations. You're doing a lot of public speaking, and I've seen you've done quite a few technical talks recently. So where are some of the places you've been in the last little bit?
Let's see. We've been to Thailand. We've been all over the Philippines.
Yeah.
And now we've been here to HiveFest. So
Fantastic.
yeah, I think we've been to Manila a couple times, La Union, Cebu, Mati. There's been a couple events in Davao that we've sponsored.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So we were literally, just as you were walking up, we were just saying, Southeast Asia specifically, but in general, this sort of generation, these are crypto native people, these are internet native people, these are mobile native people. And Chris was just talking about sort of the plan to start really focusing in on schools.
Right.
And so with that, do you guys think you're gonna move around a little bit more? You're gonna start where you are locally in the Philippines? Because to me, you guys are poised to conquer Southeast Asia, and Southeast Asia wants this type of product. They want this type of community. They want these apps. So I mean, this is your jam. Here, I can give it to you guys.
People get surprised that it actually exists. And there's two barriers. One of the barriers is that people aren't interested, but we don't have to deal with them. But there's another barrier that they don't believe it exists. Like when you tell it to them, they don't believe. And that's Ed Umbao. I onboarded him maybe 5 years ago or maybe 3 or 4 years ago. And then later when I onboarded him to our team and he moved with us, he was just so shocked at how amazing Hive was. And he was sitting on an account for 3 to 4 years.
Yeah.
Tell you that happens a lot where people they get somewhere and someone is very charismatic or they like an idea and they sign up and then they just don't follow through because like we're like that. What did we say earlier? Human's gonna human. We get lazy, right? Like our momentum sometimes peters out.
Right.
Just because. But when somebody's truly interested, they're gung-ho. And we often do. We find people, Hive is like this, people will disappear for a bit, and then they'll come back and they'll be like, what happened?
Yeah.
And they're shocked at how much
Well,
is
I
going
mean,
on.
I joined in 2017, and Chris really kind of got me like really active in 2019. So I mean, I was there for 2 years without being very active at all. I mean, I seen what was going on and monitored it but I didn't really understand it until 2019, like how powerful it really was.
Good work, Chris. Because
Yeah.
I mean, here you are now. You're kind of one of our key non-core devs, and I think that's very important because core devs, obviously, we need them,
Right.
and they're very, from a platform point of view, of course, they're really, really critical. But the reality is they are building for non-core devs.
Right.
So
Yeah.
if you guys don't exist, if you're not building products, services, you're not meeting people's needs or building things that interest you,
Right.
there's literally no point in building Hive.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, for us, like, there you go. That's quite an arc from being
And-
like, yeah,
and
Chris
one
onboarded
of,
me.
One of our big focus is creating tools, as we build stuff, creating tools that other creators can use as well. And then open sourcing, all of our code and giving back to the community. Because there's like so many things that we've worked on. It's like, I wish, if someone else had done this before, we could just copy it. Oh yeah.
Sorry, we're in this
Just
echoey
echoes.
room too. Like and we want to chat.
Okay.
It's
So I
fine.
try
You're
not to
fine.
disturb everyone with my loud voice.
Well, it's when you
Yeah.
get talking about it, like you get excited, and I'm bad about that because when I get excited, I don't just talk louder, I talk faster.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, nobody knows what's going on. So I have to remember to like be normal, which is hard for me. So yeah, I mean, I'm really stoked about what you guys are doing. I love the work ethos that you guys have and the idea of open sourcing.
Yeah.
We've been talking about this with quite a few people that we've brought through the chill zone here. Both the importance of open source but also the idea of you can have competitive collaboration, you can have competitive cooperation.
Right.
So I mean, yes, we've got many front ends, and yes, in some ways I guess they're competing in that they're doing similar things, but realistically right now there's no lack of people to onboard. You're
No.
not competing for resources and bringing
That's what I
people
told
in.
Chris.
Yeah.
We're not really competing right now because everybody's the amount of users that we have is still relatively low. It's anyone's game,
Yeah.
you know. And I think having competition is good for the ecosystem because it pushes us to continue to innovate and develop. And if you don't have that competition, you just end up with monopolies. And we are, you know, opposed to that idea. And we want to see, you know, more Hive dApps, more competitors, and not less. Yeah.
But you know, the funny thing about Hive, and you know, we've been saying this, and I think one year in probably while we were still in COVID season, and we were doing a digital HiveFest, and I let it off, and my whole speech was about Cs, because we don't like Cs in this ecosystem.
Right.
We don't like corporate. We don't like centralized. But I was
Right.
like, you know, there are Cs that are good.
Yeah.
Crimson clad. Been sitting on that joke for a while, needed to deliver it. But no. There are C's that are good, which is, cooperation and
Right.
these sort of collaborative efforts. But the way that I look at it is, even when you're competing, let's say things are rolling, you guys got an amazing dApp, there's another dApp that's neck and neck, and for whatever reason, you're competing for the exact same people. Well,
Right.
here's the deal. One of you guys onboards them. Now they're every dApp's customer.
Yeah.
Instantly.
Yeah.
So for us, we get to look at it a little differently, just from the perspective of how Hive works,
Right.
which is different than other places. One of the biggest barriers is if I make an account with, you know, company A because they have a product that I want. Even if company B puts it on sale, if it's not quite good enough, if I have to sign up again and I have to do a new cart and they're a little further away, like I'm going to go with company A again. Because there's that barrier to entry, and
Right.
Hive, with the interconnectivity that we have in the platform and the way that all the dApps kind of work together, I think we got a ways to go before we need to be worried about that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think so.
Fair. All right. So we basically now, the chill zone, we don't have to talk like high level tech stuff unless you
Okay.
guys want. So first time to Mexico, I'm guessing?
Yes, it is my first time in Mexico, and I actually lived in Honduras for about 6 months when I was 21, and so I've had like a little bit of experience in Latin America. So it's interesting to see Mexico, and but I think it was Chris. Chris hadn't been back to North America in over 14 years. He's been in Asia, so I think it's good for him to be back as well.
Yeah. So tell me the story of how, because I mean, you guys aren't living in North America. How did this happen?
I presented this in my speech. I might have forgot this part, but the way that it was that the D.Buzz movement started with 3 people from 3 different backgrounds, but 2 things in common. We were all Hive users, and we all met each other because of Hive. So if it wasn't for Hive, I wouldn't have met Nathan. We wouldn't have founded D.Buzz. I wouldn't be here. And that's why Hive, particularly because of the organic feeds, it is a magical place where it's not easy to be successful. It's challenging, but you can do it. And in other industries, on other platforms, sometimes it seems like you just can't.
It's not even seems you can't.
So back to your question, how did we end up in Asia?
Yeah.
About 7 years ago, I was working online doing web development.
Yes.
And I was invited to the Philippines to work for a startup.
Yeah.
And whenever I got there, the founder of the startup got into a physical altercation with one of the locals. It was the landlord of the office, and he was deported.
Oh.
And so I was just kind of
you were just
abandoned there. And I didn't know what to do. I didn't have like very much money or anything. So
This is a pretty good story.
I just started.
I mean, it sounds dramatic, but
I just started calling. I had a bunch of calling cards that I picked
Yes.
up in San Francisco and LA, like going to different events before I went to the Philippines. So I just started calling all the numbers on these calling cards and just asking, like I looked at your website or, like just like cold
calling,
calling and like trying to pick up development work, and so that actually paid out. I started picking up like quite a few jobs, and then set up a software development company and like hired people, and
Look
just
at
like
you.
grew it from there.
Hot
so,
damn.
you know.
Another interesting thing is if you ask about his educational background,
Yes.
he never went to elementary school.
Uh-huh.
He never went to middle school. He never went to high school.
School of Hard Knocks, though.
And he went to college, but got like maybe aced it,
Yeah.
and then thought it wasn't worth his time, so he stopped.
I
I
understand.
I just did one semester in college, and then I dropped out. I had a 4.0, but by the end of my first semester in college, I was making so much money doing web development. It was just like a drag on like working. So,
But you know, a lot of people won't pull that cord. And caveat to those of you watching, there's nothing wrong with higher education. And some jobs, man, if you're going to be a surgeon,
you better
freaking go to
school,
okay?
please.
But you know, it's we're just like we're transitioning from a centralized Web 2 mindset to a
Right.
Web 3 mindset. We're moving out of the space where it's you can't succeed without post-secondary.
Right.
In fact, now, especially North America, post-secondary can be a detriment to
Right.
momentum if you've
Yeah, I
got
think
it.
so.
So, I mean, that's a great background
well,
story for
especially
sure.
for a lot of different software development right now. At least, I mean, I can't really speak that much on it. I know I did one semester, and I was
Yeah.
going for software development, and it was just so slow. I was just like,
I can learn faster than this.
yeah. I mean, I feel
will learn
like that
faster.
by the time I learn all of this, it's already like y'all are already teaching me stuff that's like so outdated. And then I'm going to finish this in 4 years, and then I'm going to have to do like another 4 years learning like more just to be able to be like up to date. So it didn't really.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Fair enough. And so your background then, because I listened to you, you're clearly a businessman. Like you get it, you understand people, you understand the relationships between people and money and people and motivation. So
Well,
what about you?
one of the interesting things about how you say I'm clearly a businessman.
Absolutely.
It was only until recently that I would tell people I'm not a businessman. Because we have a business group that started from Hive.
Yeah.
And I would tell people, listen, I'm not a businessman. I just have friends who are businessmen.
Yes.
But then later on, I started understanding, and one of the clear things that differentiates a businessman from someone that's just trying to make money is that
That's a strong
there's a big
differentiation
difference.
to make.
There's a difference between being money-minded and business-minded.
Yes,
Money-minded, your mission statement is to make money. Business-minded, you are building value, you are helping people, you are contributing,
Yep.
and the result is money.
Yes.
But you're not money-minded.
Yes. Oh, I'm glad you said that because that's exactly how I mean it. Like, and you're right. And unfortunately, our space, and I say our space lightly, but the crypto space, the blockchain space, I mean, the problem sometimes with business people or business adjacent people, shall we call them money-minded people, is they're really great at finding instant opportunities. And obviously our space is plagued with that. We've got a lot of people who come in and they find a way to make a quick buck, and then they, stomp on a bunch of people and peace out.
Yeah.
And so we, of course, who are here building for the long term,
Right.
then have to kind of repair a lot of that damage, especially in the eyes of the public. So
Right.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's very clear that you are in the business end of things, and that I think that's part of why it's so successful. But I also really like seeing partnerships like this because we always have a foil. And especially when you are building a successful business or a DApp or an endeavor, usually there's someone out there that's got a skill set that you don't have.
Right.
And it's super handy to just have them in your corner.
Yeah.
Because, they'll call you on your bullshit, but also you can call them on theirs. And it's so valuable.
Yeah.
So I'm really stoked about this. What a lot of people probably don't know, though, is that your team has grown quite a bit.
Yeah.
And I've met another member here, and you've got people all over the place. So do you want to talk a little bit about that since not everyone's here?
Yeah. So our team originally the way it started was Chris approached me about doing a decentralized social media, and I was already familiar with Steam at the time, and then it turned into Hive. And so I tell him, well, I have developers. Like, what do you want to do? Like, we'll throw somebody, we'll throw somebody on it, and we'll see what they do. So we had one of our developers work for a little while. Like, we give them about a month, and they come and showed us something. We're like, like, let's try. So I put in like 2 of my higher level devs, and then like within like a month they had released the first version, which was a little clunky. I mean, and that's
rough around the edges.
It's a rough start. But we had something and it worked, and it was like a proof, and we just started refining it, over years, and we just, we went through a lot of different challenges, on Hive, and I just told Chris, well, you just stay with it. And there was days when I was just like, you know what, forget this. Like,
I still have those.
And you still have those?
And Chris would be like, no, like we already went so far. Like okay.
I like the challenge, because what happens is that Hive is very political, and the reason why it's political, if you mix people with money and voting, that's politics.
Yeah.
But I like it, because what happens is that when I'm involved in the politics, I get to see my own mistakes, my own errors. Even when I'm managing the D.Buzz developers, I will notice that if my mood or personality, it's a great way for self-improvement. Yeah. It's amazing.
That's a good way of thinking of it. And I mean, I don't really begrudge people having times where they get a little bit annoyed with Hive, because frankly, we're all human. And
Right.
if we didn't, think about the things that you most passionately love. They're often the things that you most passionately are frustrated about,
Right.
or even sometimes come real close to hating. And if you don't, well, I'm just, it's a genuine thing in that if you don't have those times, how much do you actually care if you can't get riled up about it?
Right.
I'm not saying that's a state to live in, but I mean, genuinely, sometimes you need that feedback where you're like,
Right.
if this failed or I had to get rid of it, would I be angry? Yeah, I'm angry. Oh,
Yeah.
that's how much I actually care.
Right.
There's a litmus test here.
Yeah.
And if it can stir this emotion in me, then it's probably worth sticking out for.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's an interesting thing, and I don't think we'll ever be free of politics. Let's face it. I mean, look at social media in general.
Obviously not. It's a governance change, so there's always going to be the politics that are involved in getting votes.
But think about it. It's funny because you're right. Like, if you had to define politics, most people would probably say government. But it's not. It's people and voting and money. That's
Right.
exactly it. Money influencing voting, influencing people influencing voting, people influencing money, voting influencing money.
Yeah.
Like, no matter how you draw those lines, that's what
Yeah.
politics is.
Yeah.
And it's tricky, but this is not a Hive problem. I mean, Hive is uniquely poised and has all the pieces. But even think about social media and how our lives have changed because of social media. Look at how Facebook has impacted literal elections, and even the way that our brains work and how we process content and talk to each other has changed because of social media. Not Hive, but precursor legacy media has changed us inherently politically.
For me, a lot of people get upset and sometimes angry on Hive over what's happening in votes and who gets what.
Yeah.
But it's not that Hive is any worse. We're actually superior. But all the dirty laundry.
It has to come out. It has to come out. You got to see it, and it's public, and it's a mess.
In private, in typical governments, the dirty laundry is.
It's there, but you don't see it, and so then you're kind of shocked when it does come out. Here, you ride many waves. You
Yeah.
see them, you adapt to them, or you change your experience. I'm no longer going to interact with so and so, or I'm no longer going to use this front end. And so it is. I wish we could create, and perhaps we will. I wish we could create a place where somehow we stopped people from being shitty to each other. But
Well, I don't know that that's
can we
ever going to
incentivize
happen.
behavior? No.
But going back to what you were saying about social media.
Yes.
Changing people's minds, it's so evident to me, just people that I'm around or people that I know, how social media, and especially now that they have like the short videos and the
Yes.
TikToks, it's like
our attention span.
the attention span of everybody is like gone, and like it's hard to have like real human interactions with people, and I feel like I'm concerned for the future of the future generations. Like, are they just going to be like?
Yes.
This is like
Actually,
all
I mean,
day?
unfortunately, yes.
And,
but can we control what's under that thumb
So
when they're
yeah,
scrolling?
that's for me. Like having more organic feeds where you can actually, because why do I use social media? Mostly, I just want to see what my friends and family are up to in their daily lives, but what I find when I get on there, I don't see any of what my friends and family are doing. I just see like this
algorithm.
garbage, and then like I find myself like an hour, like what am I even watching? Like, you know what?
But
like
that's
it's
how
all
it's
mindless
designed.
content.
It's like going into a casino, right? And I can say this because I'm not a Vegas person. I'm not a gambling person. But we were there for an event. And we went down to the tables because some of the people, they love it. And we're down there and I'm like, this is awful. What time is it? Like, no clocks, no sunlight. They pump air in, they keep it cold. You have no concept of time whatsoever. And I feel like, obviously, social media is not controlling the temperature in your house, but it's similar. Well, that's true. Christ, oh my God, you're right. We have smart homes now. Yeah, okay. Well, Siri is controlling the temperature in your house. But you know what I mean? It's the same thing where we're creating situations where people just lose track of what they're doing, what they're thinking. And so, okay, knowing that's not going away. Like, this has changed the way that we approach delivering content. So knowing that, I know what, using it, how do you use it to kind of for good?
Well, what we're going to do is reverse things.
Yeah.
Because things have been going in the wrong direction. Instead of multiple sites, it's been centered where I've talked to some entrepreneurs that think someday there's only going to be one site. Like, that's it. No longer websites. So go in the opposite direction where we spread out and build multiple front ends built by multiple people. And in terms of the algorithms, right now we have almost purely organic feeds on D.Buzz. But later when we add AI, the AI will never be default. It will always be selected by the individual person on a case-by-case basis.
Totally.
Because that way, if a person is interested in only seeing rich people, only seeing successful people, only seeing handsome and beautiful people, that's what they'll see.
Yep.
But the problem we have now is that young teenagers, maybe 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, or 14 years old, they'll only see beautiful people, successful, handsome, and rich people, and they'll wonder,
Curated people.
Well, what I mean...
Because those are not... I know what you mean, exactly. It's just,
what I mean is that
that's not them.
reality is skewed.
Yes.
They don't see reality because of the algorithms. So on Hive, by default, you will see reality, which is you'll see everything. And the secondary, if there's AI involved, you have to turn it on to decide what you would like to see.
Well, I think this is a really good point because we do have some front ends. And in fact, actually, most of our front ends are largely organic in that they expect you to follow someone. Right. And then, then you'll build your own feed. And that works well. Or you'll curate content and you'll build your own feed. But I think there is this middle ground where can you kind of help people get going on that? Because I don't know who to follow. Right now, organic feeds mean I look around, communities really did help, but I find a couple people, I follow them, and I very slowly build, and sometimes it's not enough content to keep me really hooked. So there's absolutely a space where, AI is going to be a great change, but where we can create algorithms that are less predatory. Right. That suit you,
and it should be transparent, and
yes.
people should know and be aware of the algorithm and the content that it's feeding you, unlike the social media platforms.
Huge.
And how they're currently doing the algorithms.
Totally. And so we talk about this a lot on Hive, is like voluntarism, because and again, I get a lot of flack for this. It's always kind of gesturing to the watchers. I am not totally against advertising. I'm going to throw it out there. I know that's a dirty word. I'm not totally against it. If I have consensually given you information about what I like and you show me what I like, I will probably buy it because I told you, hey, D.Buzz, I really love heavy metal. And you were like, neat. Well, near you, here's a ticket to a show. I'll be like, heck yeah. Because that was a business relationship. It was a personal relationship. It fed my needs. Where we're having this disconnect is, like you say, it's not just even an algorithm. It's a private algorithm that is specifically designed to manipulate. So.
Yeah, and for me, my current stance is, I'm not against advertising for other people because if other people would like to advertise or would like to host advertisements on their site, that's their decision. But
Absolutely.
for me on D.Buzz, I'm not interested in having advertisements, especially not algorithmic advertisements.
Yes.
Where, for example, you will say, I like a pink ice cream with like rainbow Skittles, and then it shows up.
Got it.
How did it show up on my screen?
Yes.
Or like you would talk about, I like a couch with a blue blanket, and then it shows up. I'm not interested in that because that's part of the social engineering, and I'm very opposed to D.Buzz ever being involved in anything that is either related to social engineering or could be perceived as related to social engineering.
Yeah.
That's why, for the most part, I'm not interested in ever having algorithmic advertisements on our site.
Yep.
And if there's any other advertisements, it would have to be something very beneficial.
Yeah.
That the users would like, and it probably wouldn't even be considered an advertisement. It would just be a plugged-in service, kind of like we're going to be launching an NFT game.
Right.
So that, we could weave it in there where it's intuitive, like having an NFT marketplace or a DEX. That's
Yes.
that's a creative revenue generating solution. Unlike, a set it and forget it algorithmic script. I'm not in favor of that.
Yeah. And you're not alone. And I can say, I know many users, one that comes to mind is Uncle Bonehead. There are some people who find, and certainly, especially right now, if we take advertising in the state that it's in, they're advertising is actually a form of censorship because you are beholden as a platform to your advertisers. And we see Google Ads is a great example. Yeah. Anything to do with alcohol, cigarettes, and I don't care, but say a men's lifestyle blog. This is an example that I actually have some experience with. A men's lifestyle blog wants to post, hey, here's a whiskey cocktail recipes. And it's 5 cocktails, and they're meant to go with a steak dinner, and here's how you make them. Nope, can't advertise that. You can't, even if your sole income, and there's nothing bad about that whatsoever. You're an over 18 men's lifestyle blog, tasteful photos, only about single cocktails. Google will not touch it. You can't serve an ad on it because there's alcohol. And now it's a silly example, but at the same time, you're going, okay, well, I either won't post this or I won't make any money on it because they're telling me I can't. Because of their arbitrary rules, I am now altering my content. So we have users who believe that any form of advertisement is actually contributing to censorship, which I think is a fair, if interesting, take.
I think that there's definitely some validity to that argument, and I think that as far as advertising on Hive platforms, you would be better off just using the platform to promote your product, and why not just come join the community and then but a lot of the advertisers don't want to do the work to and so me and Chris have talked a lot about how we would go about monetizing D.Buzz, and so one of our ideas for that is when we're doing a game that we're going to launch, and we're going to add NFTs into the profiles.
Yes.
On D.Buzz, and then we're going to have an NFT marketplace and then a DEX that are all part. And so that's kind of our long-term strategy of actually monetizing, where we don't have to get advertisers to advertise on the site because it just, to us, it would look quite trashy to have ads or a Google AdSense in between the posts.
And you know what? That's just it. It comes back to voluntarism because your end users' voluntary rights are important, but your guys's. You are providing this. This is really important to you to build the infrastructure, build the community. You're allowed to set these rules and conditions as well, and that's based on what you think is going to work best.
And for
that's
me,
why we have lots of front ends.
Me and Chris. I know for me personally, and Chris has his reasons as well, but for me, just having a place online where I know that I'm allowed to have my own opinions and I can say what I want and no one can take that away from me is the most valuable thing about the work that we're doing here, because over the last few years we've seen what happens when the governments and corporations and pharmaceutical companies decide to censor or put pressure on platforms. And I think it's very important that we have a place where people have the right to say what they believe.
Amen. So we've just finished up another presentation. You guys, we've actually had quite a bit of time, so this is good. This has been a great chat. Thanks for hanging out with me.
All right, well,
so you guys, you got some people live. Before you run off, anything you want to say, and it can be anything because this is a chill zone. It could literally just be whatever you like.
Yeah, I would just say, hey, thanks for everybody for watching, and thanks for supporting our Hive proposal and making it possible for us to continue the development of D.Buzz and come to HiveFest. And look out for the release of Retsark. It will be coming soon.
Yay! Awesome.
Okay, and for me to close, I would like to thank BitSquilla, Devout DeFi, and Ken Birds in the Philippines for helping us spread our message and reach the masses in the Philippines. And as we all know, the #1 social media blockchain already exists. It's called Hive. Thank you.
Boom. I would say mic drop, but we're not going to mic drop. So we're going to pretend mic drop. Bye, guys.